Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, the 17th BRICS Summit issues a joint declaration, commits to unity, equality, cooperation and reform for peace, inclusive growth, sustainable development and a fairer global order. BRICS strongly condemns all acts of terrorism, denouncing the Pahalgam terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir. Israel sends a team to Qatar for the Gaza hostage and ceasefire negotiations, but rejects Hamas's demand to change the ceasefire proposal. Netanyahu to meet US President Donald Trump in Washington on Monday. Texas floods leave at least 59 dead, 27 girls missing as rescuers search devastated landscape. And India win the Birmingham Test by beating England by 336 runs. Leaders of the BRICS countries issued a 31-page, 126-point joint declaration. The leaders strongly condemned all acts of terrorism as criminal and unjustifiable, specifically denouncing the Pahalgam attack which took place on the 22nd of April this year in Jammu and Kashmir, in which 26 innocents were killed. BRICS leaders reaffirmed their commitment to combat terrorism in all forms, including cross-border terrorism, financing and safe havens, rejecting any association with religion, nationality or ethnicity. They emphasize zero tolerance, accountability and compliance with international law, including the UN Charter and human rights protocols. Leaders urge the swift adoption of UN's Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism and actions against UN-designated terrorists, stressing the rejection of double standards in global counterterrorism efforts. In their joint declaration, BRICS leaders also advocated for a comprehensive reform of the United Nations, including the UN Security Council. The BRICS leaders sought to increase the representation of developing countries in the United Nations Security Council. The grouping stressed that reform of the UN Security Council would strengthen the voice of the Global South. The forum supported India and Brazil for permanent membership in the UNSC. The 17th edition of the BRICS Summit is underway in Rio, aiming to enhance cooperation among member countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shook hands and shared a hug with the Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva as he arrived for the 17th BRICS Summit. The summit will take up issues of global governance reforms, climate change challenges and artificial intelligence, among other things. If it wants to form a framework to collaborate on expanding cooperation in the areas of health, ethical use of artificial intelligence to solve global problems, reform multilateral banks to meet the financial needs of meeting the challenge of climate change, and also wants to foster a balanced and inclusive global governance. Earlier, Brazilian President Lula da Silva opened a plenary session on peace and security and reform of global governance at the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro. The session, which is a part of the BRICS Summit, focused on key global issues, including multilateral reforms, peace and security, and strengthening global governance to amplify the voice of the Global South. The Brazilian president rejected the Pahalgam attack during his address, stating that he rejects the ideology of hate. On the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Brazil, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral talks with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Both leaders held discussions on a wide range of issues, including those of mutual and global interest. On the sidelines of the 17th BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The two leaders discussed bilateral cooperation and issues related to West Asia, BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. India's real GDP grew by 6.5% in 2024-25 despite global uncertainties. The country's consumer price index-based inflation hit the lowest since February 2019. More details in this report.
India continues to strengthen its position as the world's fastest growing major economy, expanding steadily despite global uncertainties. The Reserve Bank of India projects this robust momentum to continue into 2025-26, underscoring the country's economic resilience and balanced growth across sectors, fueled by solid domestic demand, easing inflation, and rising exports. Real GDP grew by 6.5% in 2024-25, reflecting healthy underlying economic activity after adjusting for inflation. Other projections also remain optimistic, with the United Nations forecasting growth of 6.3% this year and 6.4% next year, while the Confederation of Indian Industry places its estimate between 6.4 and 6.7%. In 2014-15, the GDP at current prices was 106.57 lakh crore rupees. It's expected to rise to over 331.03 lakh crore rupees in 2024-25, nearly tripling in 10 years. Inflation based on the consumer price index stood at 2.82%, the lowest since February 2019. The number of retail investors surged from 4.9 crore in 2019 to 13.2 crore by the end of 2024. Foreign direct investment inflows reached a provisional $81.04 billion in fiscal year 2024-25, marking a 14% rise from the previous year. Foreign exchange reserves hit a record $697.9 billion as of June 20, 2025. The current account balance posted a surplus of $13.5 billion in Q4 of 2024-25, compared to $4.6 billion in the same quarter previous year. Total exports soared to a new high of $824.9 billion in 2024-25, growing 6.01% from $778.1 billion in 2023-24. Key indicators such as record foreign exchange reserves, a manageable current account deficit, and increasing foreign investment reflect growing global trust in India's long-term prospects. Bureau Report, DD India.
And India's Minister of Cooperation Amit Shah interacted with the people associated with cooperative sector at the iconic Amul Dairy in Anand in the western Indian state of Gujarat. He was there on the occasion of completion of 4 years of India's Ministry of Cooperation. In 4 years, the Ministry of Cooperation has taken several initiatives. All these steps are based on 5P strategy, which stands for people, PACS, platform policies, and prosperity. In the last 4 years since the setting up of the Ministry of Cooperation, 60 new initiatives have been taken for development, promotion and equitable growth of the cooperative sector in India.
मित्रों, हमारे देश में सहकारिता वैदिक काल से चली। पंचायत, चौपाल, समिति, भंडारा, लंगर, साझा चूल्हा, सहभोज, अनेक प्रकार से एक साथ बैठना, सोचना, भोजन करना, काम करना, ये हमारे समाज का संस्कार रहा। और उसी संस्कार को आज के ही दिन नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने विधायी स्वरूप देते हुए देश में पहली बार अलग सहकारिता मंत्रालय बनाने का निर्णय हमारे नेता नरेंद्र मोदी ने किया।
The nation paid tributes to Dr. Shama Prasad Mookerjee on his 124th birth anniversary. As a visionary founder of the Bharatiya Jan Sangh, Dr. Mookerjee was known for his fearless voice and unwavering commitment to nationalist ideals. He laid the ideological foundation for a self-reliant and united India. His tireless dedication to national integration and ultimate sacrifice continue to inspire generations. Leaders cutting across party lines paid tributes to Dr. Mookerjee at the Central Hall of the Samvidhan Sadan. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, BJP National President and Union Ministers J.P. Nadda and Ashwini Vaishnav and others offered floral tributes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paid heartfelt tributes to Dr. Prasar Mookerjee. The Prime Minister posted on X, and I quote him, "A heartfelt tribute to the immortal son of the nation, Dr. Prasar Mookerjee, on his birth anniversary. He sacrificed his life to protect the honor, dignity and pride of his country. His ideals and principles are invaluable in the construction of a developed and self-reliant India." Unquote. The monsoon has tightened its grip across parts of India, prompting the Met Department to issue a red alert for the states of Himachal Pradesh and Maharashtra, warning of extremely heavy rainfall. The IMD has also issued an orange alert for several other states, including Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal and Kutch in Gujarat. The Thunag Bazar in Himachal Pradesh's Mandi district has been severely affected by flash floods and a sudden cloudburst. Rescue teams, including the National Disaster Response Force, have been deployed to carry out relief operations. While authorities remain on high alert as rain continues in parts of the district, IMD has issued a red alert for Himachal Pradesh. India's national capital, New Delhi, on Sunday witnessed rain, offering much needed respite to Delhiites who had been enduring a prolonged spell of humidity. The IMD had issued an orange alert for Delhi, forecasting light to moderate rainfall accompanied by thunderstorms for the national capital over the next 2 days. Weather this week has taken a toll over the world, with floods in the US to heat wave in Europe. Europe this week has witnessed extreme. Next report by Ragini Sudhir Chore. She brings us more.
This week, extreme weather has battered regions across the globe, from deadly flash floods in the United States and Colombia to relentless heat waves and wildfires in Europe and intense monsoon rains in India. At least 59 people, including 15 children, have died in catastrophic flash floods sweeping across central Texas. Torrential rains dumped up to 15 inches over the Guadalupe River, triggering sudden and violent flooding that has left entire communities underwater. Authorities say the actual death toll could rise as floodwaters continue to ravage multiple counties. Among those still missing are 27 young girls from Camp Mystic, a popular summer camp in Texas' Scenic Hill country. Search and rescue operations are ongoing, with teams racing against time to locate the missing. Eyewitness Tonia Fuki, a Pennsylvania resident visiting her grandmother in Comfort, Texas, described the moment floodwaters surged through.
Complete shock. I'm still in shock today. The devastation was such that I'm still in shock today. And with the rescues going on and the helicopters, you just know there's so many missing children and missing people.
Meanwhile, in Colombia's border region with Venezuela, a state of calamity has been declared following.
Miguel Diaz-Canel.
These are visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting with the Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel. He held a bilateral meeting with the Cuban President a little while back on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holding a bilateral meeting with the Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel. Though Cuba is not a part of the BRICS, but is a special invitee country, it is an important country of Latin America. So he has been extended this invitation by Brazil on the sidelines, the Prime Minister holding a bilateral meeting with the Cuban president. The Prime Minister held this meeting with Modi-Diasel, the Cuban president, a little while back in Rio de Janeiro, where the Prime Minister is there for the 17th BRICS summit. Cuba is part of a special, is there as a special invitee of President Lula da Silva, as Brazil is hosting this, holds the presidency. The country who holds the chairship or the presidency can invite outreach members or special invitees to participate in the outreach summit. In the outreach summit, the Prime Minister a little while back had addressed the outreach session, and now this bilateral meeting with the Cuban president. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi had also held a bilateral meeting with the Malaysian Prime Minister, and now after that, this is the second bilateral meeting in the day that Prime Minister held with the Cuban president. France deploys firefighting aircraft and mobilized hundreds of firefighters to battle wildfires in the southern part of the country after blazes erupted near the A61 and A9 motorways in the Aude region. The fires, which have already scorched more than 400 hectares of vegetation, are the first major wildfires of the season and come in the wake of the 16-day heat wave that left the region dry and highly vulnerable. Thick smoke and advancing flames forced partial road closures and raised alarms among nearby communities. Fire Chief of the country, Eric Flores, said that though the fire has been stabilized, but it's not out yet, and crews are working through the night to prevent flare-ups.
At present, the fire has been stabilized, but it's not out yet. Stabilized means that there are fewer intense outbreaks, but there are still many hotspots that we are going to have to deal with throughout the night. So it's only now that we are going to be able to put out some of the fire to prevent it from reigniting again tomorrow morning when the wind picks up and the heat returns.
Russia said on Sunday that it had captured another 2 settlements in East Ukraine, one in the Donetsk region and other one in the Kharkiv region. Ukraine did not immediately comment on Russia's claims. Moscow has been grinding forward on the front line for over a year, pressing its advantage against the overstretched and outmanned Ukrainian troops. On Sunday, Russia said it had captured the village of Pedubne in Donetsk and Sobolivka in Kharkiv. The Russian military accelerated its advances for a third consecutive month in June. And amid the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukraine is seeking additional Patriot air defense systems to bolster its security. The development follows what Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described as the most productive talks yet with US President Donald Trump. In his address, President Zelensky emphasized the critical importance of air defense, saying the Patriot system is precisely the key to protection against ballistic threats. The two leaders also discussed a range of other strategic issues, with further deliberations expected in the upcoming high-level meetings.
Regarding the conversation with the President of the United States, which took place the day before, it was probably the best conversation we have had during this whole time, most productive. We discussed air defense issues, and I'm grateful for the willingness to help. The Patriot system is precisely the key to protection against ballistic threats. We also discussed several other important matters, which our teams will be working through in more detail in upcoming meetings.
Israel has sent a delegation to Qatar for talks on possible Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal. although Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the changes requested by Hamas to a ceasefire proposal were unacceptable. Hamas's demands include withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. Netanyahu, who is due to meet President Trump in Washington on Monday, has repeatedly said that the Hamas must be disarmed. Hamas, however, he has refused to discuss this Israeli demand. This comes after Hamas said it had responded to US-backed Gaza ceasefire proposal in a positive spirit, days after Trump said that Israel had agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day truce. UK has announced that it was re-establishing diplomatic relations with Syria after the country's years-long civil war, as Foreign Minister David Lammy visited Damascus, pledging $129 million in support. Lammy met Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara. Lammy's visit, the first by a British member in 14 years, come days after US President Donald Trump signed an executive order terminating an American sanctions program on Syria, ending its isolation from the international financial system and helping it rebuild after the war.
I'm here really on behalf of the British people who have always stood by the Syrian people with humanitarian aid and support, to speak to this new government, to urge them to continue to be inclusive, to ensure that there's transparency and accountability in the way that they govern, but to stand by the Syrian people and Syria as it makes this peaceful transition over the coming months, and to continue to strengthen bilateral ties between the UK government and the government here in Syria.
In a stunning political move, billionaire Elon Musk has launched a new party in the US, calling it the America Party, to challenge what he described as the country's one-party system. Announcing it on his platform X, Musk took aim at both Republicans and Democrats, saying America needs fresh leadership. And the move comes after Musk openly criticized President Trump's newly signed tax cut and spending bill, warning that soaring deficits could bankrupt the country. Musk has also vowed to fund campaigns to unseat lawmakers who supported the bill. A team of technical experts from the United Kingdom arrived in Thiruvananthapuram on Sunday to carry out repairs on a British F-35 fighter jet that has been grounded at the city's international airport since mid-June. The advanced stealth aircraft, which is part of HMS Prince of Wales Carrier Strike Group, was forced to make an emergency landing on June 14th after encountering adverse weather conditions and low fuel levels while operating approximately 100 nautical miles off the coast of Kerala. The Indian Air Force facilitated the safe landing and provided refueling and logistical assistance. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the British High Commission expressed appreciation for India's continued support and collaboration. India outplayed England by 336 runs in the second test at Edgbaston in Birmingham on Sunday to level the five-match series 1-1. With the win, Shubman Gill-led side scripted history as it turned out to be the India's first ever test win at the venue. It was batting paradise on offer, where Gill scored an aggregate 430 with knocks of 269 in the first innings and 161 in the second. Akashdeep duly impressed in the absence of ace pacer Jasprit Bumrah by picking up 10 wickets, including 6-wicket haul in the final innings. Mohammad Siraj to help the team's cause with a total of 7 wickets to his name. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amrit Pal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live. Bye-bye.